Okay, so there was a question in the group about leadership and hiring your first employees and teams, and a lot of people have actually posted this type of question. So I'm going to give my perspective. I'm going to give my background on it and what I've seen work for myself, clients, et cetera, and from multiple business backgrounds, not just coaching, not just consulting, but in other organizations as well, where I've worked in different teams and different team settings, and I've kind of like figured out not a formula by any means, but like sort of my perspective on things and the way I look at hiring, the way I look at team building, et cetera. So I'm going to try to like break this down in kind of a quick, short synopsis video, and hopefully this helps. But essentially, when you're going to build a team, build an organization, it's got to start with you and your personal DNA. That is something that cannot be escaped. It doesn't matter what other people you bring on the team, et cetera. What you bring as the CEO of the company, as the business leader, is going to be permeated in the team. I can't say that loud enough. It starts with you and your DNA. So understanding what makes you tick and how you make decisions is really the place you need to start. If you have ever taken a personality test, if you've ever taken anything that helps you understand how you make decisions, why you make the decisions you make, what makes you tick, what drives you, what motivates you, what your strengths and weaknesses are. These are all seriously big time to understand, right? The more you know about yourself, the better decisions you can make based upon really the type of team you should have, the type of people you should be working with, who's going to help leverage your skill and take it to the next level. For most of the business world, a lot of the business world is sort of certain personality type of kind of driven type A people, as we hear all the time. But that's not the only thing. There's more to you than just your drivenness. There's the ways you view life, the perspective you look at it through. So to me, it's really important for you to understand first that. Once you can understand that, we can get into the other side of it. So if you're a coach or done for you service, my recommendation is to start with getting out of fulfillment. That doesn't mean the actual service itself. What that means is client fulfillment. And I'm sure CK or any of the other guys that you're around could say this to you as well. And that is that when you're dealing with clients, it tends to be a time suck. And so the first thing I recommend to people is getting out of client fulfillment as fast as possible. Now, let's say you do Facebook ads or you do health nutrition or whatever. That doesn't mean you get away from the strategy piece and you get away from serving your clients on that end. What it means is that you have a buffer between you and the client so that you can be high level and strategic. I always look at it as I would rather be a consultant to my company than a consultant to my clients. And what I mean by that is that if I become a consultant to my company, I can then develop people. I can then put my DNA in those people and literally reproduce them so that they become leaders, so that my skill set becomes their skill set in their own unique way, right? So maybe I'm really good at creative and all these types of things, but then I hire client fulfillment people who are better and more organized. So then they're organized. I teach them kind of how I think and my, sort of my philosophy of client care and my philosophy of the strategy behind what I do. And now I can help them fill that skill gap. Honestly, if you're going to do this, if you're going to do that, if you're going to hire people that are going to work with your clients, in my opinion, you've got to be willing to look like an idiot. What I mean by that is that when you first hire people to actually take over from you and the client duties, they're going to mess up and they may not know all the answers. And you may feel frustrated because they're not doing it the way you would do it. You've got to trust the process. You've got to lean into it. You've got to know that you made a good hire and you've got to allow them to fail. The only way you're going to build a business is if you actually allow people to fail. And what I mean by that is instead of focusing on delegating things to them, you focus on empowering them to become the best versions of themselves within the context of organization. Now, you might be hearing this and going, this sounds weird or sounds woo-woo or sounds whatever. What I'm telling you this is from a perspective of motivating and inspiring and getting people to do things they wouldn't normally do. The people that work for me really care about me. They take care of me. They take care of my clients. They feel bad when things don't go wrong. They stay late. All of those things aren't just because I've hired the right people, but it's because I've empowered them to own their shiz. They have to own their stuff. If they don't own it and I'm constantly taking it from them, I'm constantly taking over from clients, I'm constantly interjecting, constantly doing those things, then they never actually own what it is that they need to own.